The Weeknd is preparing his new album to drop right now. We've gotten so many hints over the past week. We're going to talk about it today, about everything that we know about this new album, especially also the last pieces of info that we've just gotten only a couple of hours ago. So let's jump straight into this. If you want to stay up to date with everything surrounding hip-hop, make sure to subscribe and also become a part of this community by joining our Discord server in the description. So this new The Weeknd album is obviously a grail to many people and is one of the most eagerly awaited albums to drop this year or even this decade, because we've gotten two amazing albums so far this decade with After Hours and Dawn FM, so people were highly anticipating this new one. Let's go over the basics that we've known for quite a bit and then delve into the more interesting info. Now, we know that this is likely going to be his last album as The Weeknd, because he told W Magazine about a year ago that the album that he's working on now is probably his last hooray as The Weeknd. This is something that he had to do. As The Weeknd, he said everything he could say. So this means that this upcoming record, possibly titled Afterlife, but we'll talk about that in a second, will be the last album that we'll get to enjoy under the Weeknd name. He said he's not completely done with music. He might drop something under his real name, Abel, maybe also a little here and there under the Weeknd, maybe like Jay-Z is doing is always a great comparison, maybe like Andre 3000 has been doing over the past 2 decades. That is something that I could see happening, but he's saying this album will be the last full-length concept album that he's doing as The Weeknd. Now, this goes hand in hand with some sort of an identity crisis that he's had, at least what he's explaining to us, that he wants to let go of this persona that he's held onto as The Weeknd for the last 15 years, because that's not really who he feels he is anymore, and he feels like he got bigger things to do. Now, let's also talk about the concept behind this, because this is a new trilogy. Now, the trilogy, the original trilogy, is obviously his mixtapes that he's released in 2011, all in the same year, namely House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence, that then got re-released as a compilation album called Trilogy, and they were really the albums that got him signed and put him onto the map. And so this overarching theme here is that he now wants to create a new trilogy so that he could start his career with the trilogy and end it with a trilogy, all coming full circle. Now, the reason that we know this new album is going to be the third part of a trilogy is because he's told us this directly right after Dawn FM dropped in early 2022, tweeting, "I wonder, did you know you're experiencing a new trilogy?" So after Dawn FM dropped, that being the second album in the trilogy after Hours from 2020, which were cover-wise and sound-wise a little different, but still very similar. He also then went on, only beginning of this year, on January 8th, also sharing a picture on Instagram with us where he had the first 2 slides of the images were After Hours and Dawn FM, the respective covers, and the third slide that is shown here is just a question mark. So seeing that there's 3 albums, 3 covers, we just don't know the third one yet. We can tell it is an album cover because it got the parental advisory sticker. Also in the caption, he just posted the number 3. So this all hints at this being the third album that is then coming likely this year, hopefully. People have been making concepts about this trilogy, posting how they would feel like this would look, and, you know, kind of comparing it to the original trilogy. Obviously, as I said, we have this concept or this theory of this being called Afterlife, with the underlying theme or concept being that in After Hours he died due to, you know, excessive lifestyle, excessive drug use, but also because of this very hard love relationship breakup that he's going through on the entire record. On Dawn FM, he's turning bitter, he's turning into this alternate version, and on Afterlife, he's trying to get reborn. That is the concept that we're kind of looking at right now, that is supported by a lot of the new info that we've gotten, but we'll talk about that in a second. Now, also beginning of this year, he rented out this LA really old theater. I guess this was for a music video shoot. It was for his birthday, at least, and also on the sign outside, he put the greatest trilogy known to man, again hinting at this trilogy. Now, obviously, he has been busy in the meantime ever since dropping Dawn FM. He went on whole world tours, for example. Also, mainly what I wanted to mention, he did The Idol, his HBO original series that some people liked, others didn't like it as much, but that is what he's been up to. And I quickly want to mention that obviously there were songs dropped for this series, but they didn't quite get to the level that we know he can get to when he's really focusing on an album on a trilogy. Now, we also have a candidate for a possible single that could be dropping soon, which is Take Me Back to LA, which we've been knowing about for 4 years, ever since After Hours dropped. He recently played this when he came out in March for Mike Dean, who's obviously a longtime close collaborator, at least over the last couple of years, and they played Take Me Back to LA, and fans are speculating that this could be a single or at least end up on the final record. So hopefully it does, because it sounds just amazing. Now, aside from Mike Dean, we also, for example, have word from Metro Boomin, who shared in his Egypt video with Spotify that I've referenced a couple of times already because I just thought it was so funny, that he's working on, new music with The Weeknd. I think we talked about that already, that he's working with The Weeknd a couple of months ago when this was all going down. But he is, so we can also expect production from him. Now, to get into the new stuff that he's been posting on social media, because that is honestly the most interesting stuff, because it means we're getting into the rollout. He originally started by posting a picture of this close-up face of a child that kind of looks similar to him on July 2nd. We didn't know where this was from. We guessed that this would be part of a music video. We now know where it is from, because he continued to drop 2 new trailers over the past week. The first one is called There's 3 Chapters to This Tale. It only dropped 7 days ago, so exactly a week ago, and this is about a 2 to 3 minute video trailer. It is amazing. The visuals on here, the production of this movie, you could say, is amazing. And again, here we have the hints that he is trying to maybe capture or relate to his inner child and have this connection with his inner child in order to be reborn while being chased by all the demons that are following him on After Hours, on Dawn FM, and in the afterlife. He then wants to be reborn as his child again. Well, not as his child, as himself, as he was a child. It then also really, seamlessly goes into the next trailer, which is if you glaze into the abyss glazes into you, where this whole theme is continued, and he is this child that then again falls back into the abyss and is trying to have his way out, again followed by these demons, and is trying to break through into the light, into heaven, you could say. It's also a lot of imagery and symbolism here that we still need to unpack, but we definitely have it here again, and he's trying to get out there. I hope that we get more and more of these videos, of these trailers or movies, maybe in the end making for an entire film, like we've also had for After Hours. We kind of had all of these images to it as well. Now, to support this entire theory of him trying to capture his inner child and breaking out and getting into the afterlife, we've also recently had an interview with the 032C magazine that was also quite present in the Travis rollouts and stuff like that, where he is interviewing a 10-year-old version of himself, like through AI, I think they did it, and he's talking to his inner child. And this again ties back perfectly into all of these trailers that we've now gotten, so I guess the concept will be something along those lines. Also, I don't want to forget to mention this, we have music playing in these videos. So there's new music playing in the background, and it sounds absolutely amazing. It is exactly what you would want a Weeknd album to sound like. So this is where we're at right now. The second trailer, The Abyss Gazes Into You, only dropped a couple of hours ago at the point of recording this, and I want to know what y'all think about this. Are you hyped for The Weeknd's new album? Do you think it is going to be called Afterlife? What do you think the underlying concept will be? Do you agree with me and most of the fans right now about this concept of the child being reborn and all of that? That is what I see most being talked about online, on X and stuff like that. But let me know your theories on this as well, and when do you think this album might release? I'm guessing still this year, because we're getting into the full motion of the rollout. You could even say the rollout has now begun by these 2 trailers that we've gotten. Now let me know all your thoughts on this in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and you'll take care.